King Von was one of the wildest dudes in the rap game. Most fans know a little about his street background, but today we're diving into some of the craziest jail footage from when he was locked up on a murder charge while most inmates were just trying to keep a low profile and stay out of trouble. Von didn't care who was watching, he was always ready for action. In one jail surveillance video, Von and one of his homies are seen jumping another inmate right in front of a guard. They beat the guy all the way down the hallway and the guard doesn't even try to stop him, he just steps out of the way. Eventually more guards show up and hit them with pepper spray. Von ducks off to wipe his face like it was just another day. After everything went down, the guards interviewed Von about the situation when they asked him what happened.
Why'd you get made?
I was in the hallway.
You was in the hallway.
I was in the barbershop. Hit the corner.
For no reason?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You got any injuries?
Yeah.
Did you receive medical attention?
No, I talked to the counselor. I ain't get no.
Psych? You talked to psych staff?
Yeah.
Okay. And you say you didn't receive medical attention? Okay. All right.
It's not exactly clear who the guy was that Von jumped or why they had beef. When the video leaked online, some people dissed Von for jumping the dude instead of running a fair one-on-one fade, but Von wasn't interested in fair fights. He was all about catching ops slipping. He even rapped about it on his track, Get It Done, saying, "Hope you don't think that you the only one riding around this, doing murder, one me and Peasy we gone, get it done jumping, ass ain't no one-on-ones," and that wasn't even the only time. Von got maced after jumping someone in jail. In another recently leaked video, one of Von's homies was seen fighting someone in the mess hall. Guards were standing just a few feet away, but that didn't stop Von from jumping in and swinging on the op. As soon as Von got involved, another dude ran up and tried to land a hit, but Von turned around and dropped him. That's when the guards stepped in and started spraying mace again. But one of the wildest jail clips of King Von came from an incident right before a court appearance. Someone leaked footage from the bullpen, a holding cell area, where Von spotted a known op named 051. Freaky, Von's homie, helped him slip out of his cuffs, and then Von walked straight over to Freaky and started throwing wild punches. While Von was beating him down, another guy came over and started kicking Freaky too. Even the guy who helped Von with the cuffs got a kick and all before the guards rushed. And now fights in jail over petty stuff happen all the time, but this one felt personal, and there's a reason Von had real beef with 051. Freaky, it goes all the way back to a deadly incident in 2013 involving a BD. Von was close with a rapper named Le Capone who was tragically killed outside a recording studio. And one of his homies had just finished laying down some tracks. As they walked through an alley to get to their car, shots rang out from nowhere. Le Capone was hit in the back and leg. He was rushed to the hospital and, according to reports, was still awake and talking when he arrived. But sadly, he lost too much blood and was pronounced dead later that night, about a year later too. 51 affiliates, Saki Hardy Johnson and Michael Mays, were arrested for the murder. They allegedly told police they grabbed a gun and headed straight to the studio to catch Le Capone. They also had a third person, D.A.M. Buchanan, driving a second car to act as a distraction in case police showed up. All three were charged and are now serving decades behind bars for the killing. That's where 051 Freaky comes into the story. Even though he didn't have a personal issue with Le Capone, he got a tattoo that said F*** lie to show love for his fallen homies who went down for the murder. He even talked about it in an interview with DJ UTV, saying he got the tattoo for his people. What's crazy is that Freaky doesn't even claim 51 anymore, but he still has that disrespectful tattoo, and even if he didn't personally have beef with LA, it meant nothing to Von, who was loyal to his fallen friend. According to Freaky, he and Von were on the same deck in jail, and they would see each other uncuffed all the time with no problems. On the day the beating happened, Freaky says Von even shook his hand before everything went down. Moments later, Von slipped out of his cuffs and went straight for Freaky. Guards were shocked. They didn't even know how Von managed to get out of the cuffs. They later confirmed the restraints had been put on correctly because Von still had marks on his wrists. They asked him how he got free. Von just smiled and said, "I thought I was still in." When the guards tried to get Von to make a statement about what happened.
You refuse to give a statement?
That's my statement right there. I ain't doing that.
They had him on camera slipping the cuffs and beating Freaky, but V knew that admitting to it wasn't going to make the situation any better for him, so he just denied everything. Freaky ain't say anything either when the guards questioned him. What went down, he told them slight name, nothing though, he asked for protective custody beat up while you in cuffs. That is rough, but in his DJ a TV interview, Freaky still gave props to V and said he was one of the toughest dudes in jail. Apparently he's been locked up on the same deck as other BDS like Rondo Number N, and none of them have ever pressed him over the law. Tag Von was the only one who stood up for his dead homie. And you can tell Freaky had respect for him even though they was. So another crazy video that came out is when Von told the guards he was gay so he could get moved to a different area of the jail. Von told the guards he couldn't be on the same deck as Jeff McGraw aka Lil J and that they was trying to kill him over there. He told the CEO that the dudes over there are Christians, but they have a problem with gay people.
They Christian, but they got a problem with gay people.
Van even saw a dude on the other side of the doors and said,
Good job. I'ma fuck you too.
A lot of people were shocked that Von asked for protective custody, but that wasn't the full story. When the whole video came out, one of the guards said that he offered Von protective custody, but he turned it down cause he wanted to move across the hall. It's not clear why Van wanted to. He tried to switch decks. His homie Lil Reese confirmed that V was just trying to get moved.
Yeah, I know he was playing because he was trying to get moved to a new deck, so that's what you gotta do sometime. You gotta play like that.
But a dude named O51KD says there's other ways to get moved in an interview. He said he would never act gay cause you can just play the mental health card and get the same treatment according to him.
I won't do that. I'm gonna play the mental health part on both because I could just sit on watch 3 days, from they gonna move me to where the fuck I wanna move me to.
Later in the interview, Von admitted that his excuse about being gay to get protective custody probably wouldn't work anymore too. Many dudes were using the same line to switch decks, and the COOs had stopped believing it. Von got into a lot of fights while he was locked up, and it seemed like he was just trying to make things as difficult as possible for the guards in one video. Von is seen walking around with a handful of pills, showing them off right in front of the cameras, and correctional officers standing nearby, then casually popping them in their faces. Taking pills right in front of the guards is already wild, but it gets even crazier. A couple of years ago, a video surfaced allegedly showing King Von trying to burn down part of jail. In the footage, an inmate piles up a bunch of uniforms near a door in a cell block and sets them on fire. It takes a minute, but eventually smoke fills the entire area and everyone is trapped inside. Rumors quickly spread that Von was the one who started the fire, but it turns out the person responsible was actually another inmate named Raymond Pendleton. The incident happened in a special section of the jail reserved for problematic detainees, especially those involved in sexual misconduct. All of this happened around the time Von was locked up on a murder charge back in 2014. That case started when Von pulled up to a house party and spotted some ops hanging outside. Instead of crashing out solo, he left and came back with his homie Big Mike. When they returned, the ops saw them coming and started shooting. Von and Mike shot back and chased them down. Mike hit one of them in the torso, and Von shot another in the foot. But in the middle of the chaos, a tragedy happened. An innocent bystander, Malcolm Stuckey, was hit and killed. Malcolm was a college student who had come to the party just to celebrate a friend's birthday. Sadly, he lost his life over a situation he had nothing to do with when police picked up Big Mike. He was the first to crack. He gave a full statement and was ready to testify against Von in court, a move that would have likely put Von behind bars for life, but at the last minute, Big Mike changed his mind, took a 28-year sentence, and stopped. Operating Mike's testimony was the strongest evidence prosecutors had, so once he backed out, they had no choice but to drop the case, and Von walked free. Ironically, some say Big Mike was the same guy who helped Von slip out of his cuffs before he beat up 051 Freaky in jail. Obviously, Von didn't know Mike had worked with the police at one point, because if he did, Mike might have been the one catching that beating instead of Freaky. Von's wild behavior behind bars made him a legend to some and kept his name alive, but it also played a part in how his life ended. In 2020, King Von was killed after swinging on Quando Rondo outside a Club A. Fight broke out and Von ended up getting shot. He spent so much of his life in the streets and locked up that walking away from that mindset was never going to be easy, even with fame, money, and a future in music. Unfortunately, the rap game lost one of its most promising new stars before he ever got the chance to leave that life behind.